Right, thanks so much for those tweets, and we'll share more of them as the morning progresses. Right now, though, let's turn our attention to a story that's grabbed the headlines for a number of days now. We're speaking now to UDM leader Bantu Holomisa, who has called on the public protector, Advocate Busisiwe Mkhwebane, to investigate whether mining company Glencore did not bribe judges and politicians in South Africa, as it has been charged and pleaded guilty in the United States for these crimes. Now, in a letter dated the 31st of May 2022, General Holomisa asked the public protector to also investigate President Cyril Ramaphosa's association with Glencore and the implications of their relationship on the running of Eskom. We're joined now by the General to tell us more about this. General, good morning. Thanks so much for speaking to us here on Morning Live.
Good morning.
So let's start with Glencore's admission of guilt in the United States and just your reaction to that, given that Glencore as a company, as many would say, has become so big, so influential that you can't avoid them when you are doing business in the sectors where they are involved. So what was your reaction initially?
Well, secondly, South Africans are aware about the Eskom officials who said earlier on in the Commission of Inquiry of Zondo, one, that a Glencore way of doing business was not okay. They were suspecting that at the time that Glencore wanted to use shortcuts and not want to follow the rules. Secondly, the American indictment said about 7 countries mentioned, identified, but we want the public protector to satisfy itself, herself or her office, that indeed South Africa is not involved. People must not forget that the current Commission of Inquiry on State Capture is as a result of a recommendation from the Office of the Public Protector. Therefore, the Public Protector's Office is duty-bound to make sure that this inquiry is finalized. Hopefully, people are waiting for the last report from the Zondo Commission, which has so far kept quiet on the issue of Glencore's role, notwithstanding the fact that people like Brian Molefe didn't mince their words when they testified there about Glencore's role in Eskom. So far, we expect that Zondo Commission should have a last word on this issue in a way of reflecting and confirming that in their own investigation, Glencore was above board, or Glencore transactions were above board. Remember, it is the same Glencore which bought oil reserves in this country under shaded, under funny circumstances. Today we're complaining about the price of oil, yet we sold the reserves, oil reserves, to the same company.
So your thoughts, you mentioned Brian Molefe, for example, giving evidence at the Commission of Inquiry. So Molefe's statement at the Commission of Inquiry saying that Glencore used political influence through former shareholder President Cyril Ramaphosa to gain, basically benefit at Eskom. And if we go back and take a look, so some of the allegations against Glencore is that, as it relates to the president, is that President Cyril Ramaphosa was given a 9.64% stake in Glencore, and he then became chairman of the company when it had bought Optimum Coal Holdings. So how is this significant?
Well, this is where the Zondo Commission will be tested as to what kind of conflict of interest might have arisen as a result of that, and especially when the President Cyril Ramaphosa was appointed by President Zuma to head the war room at Eskom. All that, those shenanigans or that involvement, Zondo has to clarify it. So far in the reports we've read, he has been quiet, so he still has time. But whether he has time or no time, the public protector, in her capacity as the custodian of the current commission of inquiry, because it was recommended from that office, she must work with the evidence leaders of Zondo Commission, the Hawks, the NPA, and so on, to satisfy themselves that Glencore in the USA investigation is not part of their trajectory. So far, 7 countries have been mentioned, but very few countries in Africa were named. So we want to make sure that South Africa is not part of that 7.
Speaking of the Public Protector, and you've now written to the Office of the Public Protector, another former Eskom executive, Matsela Koko, in responding to your announcement that you have approached the Public Protector's office, basically came out saying that he doesn't expect anything to come from there because he personally took this matter, approached the Public Protector on this matter and was unsuccessful. He goes on to say, and I quote, no institution wants to pursue anything related to Ramaphosa. I wrote to the Public Protector towards the end of 2020 and had an interview with her and her team on March the 7th, 2021, but I've not heard from them. I believe the latest request will receive the same treatment, unquote. That's from Matsela Koko. So have you heard anything back from the Public Protector? I know it's only a day since you have actually written your letter, but what are you expecting here?
Well, I won't question Koko's version, but the UDM has read what USA has published, and we are saying, given that Molefe did mention this in detail in his presentation at Zondo Commission, can she make sure that we don't close the file of Zondo Commission on state capture without satisfying herself that indeed South Africa is not one of these 7 countries? That's the message we're sending across. What other people are saying about the public protectors, their own business.
So just with regard to Glencore, the fact that they have been mentioned, their name has come up, even with regard to the whole Optimum coal mine sale and what had happened, advances that were put forward by Eskom and the like. You know, there was the parliamentary inquiry into what had happened at Eskom, and then, of course, the State Capture Commission, where a lot of this information was ventilated. Why do you think, then, that a blind eye seems to have been turned against the doings of Glencore?
Well, I don't know, but I still have confidence in Chief Justice. And I hope that he is going to make a reference in his final report. We must remember that this report has not yet been finalized. So who knows? These people have got their own style of doing things. So by delaying this, maybe he has already done an investigation and got the proper information from countries like USA. So let's give him a chance. The report is about a few weeks from now.
Any other matter that you believe from the State Capture Commission that should also perhaps receive a little more attention than it has to date from the reports that we've received and seen?
Can you repeat your question?
I was saying, just more broadly speaking, from the Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture, do you believe that there are any other matters that perhaps needed a little more interrogation and more attention than they have gotten to this point?
Yes, in fact, the Zondo Commission should, for instance, pronounce, that is a legitimate expectation on the part of many of South Africans, that Zondo Commission, for instance, should pronounce on how are we going to retrieve the billions of rands which ended up at Luthuli House, through Chancellor House, through Bosasa, and the recipients of those Bosasa legacies. What is he saying exactly? Will the ANC government be asked to pay back those monies? So he still owes this country a lot of information.
Well, General Holomisa, we'll leave it there for today, but thanks so much for your views here, General Bantu Holomisa, asking the public protector to consider U.S. evidence against Glencore and also to make sure that we establish whether South Africa is one of the 7 African countries that was mentioned during that U.S. inquiry. So with that, it's time for News Headlines.